Welcome to TechMark Pod, where we innovate, discuss, and discover the dynamic intersection of technology and marketing. In each episode, we explore how businesses can leverage both to drive growth and innovation. Meet Alvin, our esteemed host for TechMark Pod. With over 15 years of experience as a renowned marketer, project manager, and software as a service architect, join us as we uncover the unique value proposition of integrating technology and marketing strategies, helping you stay ahead in this fast-paced digital world.
Hi everyone, welcome to TechMark Pod. So today my guest is Tendai Luwo, right? I pronounced that correct, right?
Correct.
So yes, as much as other guests, I've met all my guests surprisingly on LinkedIn. And when I saw Tendai's profile, it's quite an impressive profile in marketing. And to think that, you have had a hand in some of the entertainment world. I mean, Channel O, MTV Base, to name it. But you can introduce yourself. I'm sure you can tell us more what you have done in marketing.
Alvin, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your time. My name is Tendai Luwo. I'm a marketing strategist, creative, just a lover of making brands impossible to ignore, predominantly across Africa. I think my main passion is just pushing African brands onto the global stage.
Oh, wow. So I think we want to start from way back when you started. I just want to know the history of where you started and where you are right now.
Okay. Yes, it's been an interesting journey. I actually was meant to become a lawyer. I went to university to study law. And in the journey of that first year, I came across a poster that was looking for auditions for the campus radio station. I then went for those auditions, and unfortunately for my parents, I got the job. I ended up being mentored by the incredible Gugulethu Mhlungu, who's one of the talk radio.
Oh yeah, is she still on 702 or something?
I believe she is.
Yeah.
So through that mentorship, I grew and really grew to love radio. Wow. At the time, this was campus radio back at Rhodes University. Naively, I then abandoned my pursuit of law and shifted into journalism. And I believed that I could come to Joburg and make something of myself. So when I moved to Johannesburg, I applied to all these major radio stations and asked, hey, can I be on your station? Not knowing that Joburg doesn't work like that, right? That Joburg is a little bit more nuanced.
Yeah.
So when that failed, I started, sending out my CV. Eventually, I was given an opportunity by a gentleman named Dave Mack. He allowed me to become a music journalist. So my proposition was to write about urban music, right? So that was when South African house music was really becoming a little bit more well-known.
Yeah.
So I wrote about the likes of Shimza, Black Coffee, DJ Zinhle, all these people when
they were starting actually
in the earlier days of their careers. This was like the early 2010s. That then, gave me a little bit of credibility. That I then used that to pivot into the entertainment industry and then just grow into becoming a social media practitioner, and then moving from there into becoming a social media strategist, digital strategist, and now a marketing strategist.
Wow, that's quite an interesting journey. I would like to take you back in time, the evolution of digital marketing. What were those tools that you started using, Channel O and MTV back then? I know there was no TikTok. What was the most popular tools back then?
So back then, so the Viacom days, which is MTV, Nickelodeon, Comedy Central, those days it was all Facebook. Even Instagram wasn't really a thing for corporate brands. Everyone existed on Facebook. And it was very different because then you had a lot more organic reach, right? It was before the change in the algorithm where organic reach was throttled. So if you had 100 people on your Facebook page, you were reaching 98 of them. And it made for just an incredible progress and growth in a very short amount of time. I think at that time we reached 1 million followers on Facebook when it was completely unheard of.
And that was organic.
And it was all organic. We weren't running any ads. Those days, I remember the SLA was I had to create 10 pieces of content every day. which was insane.
10 pieces of content.
Yeah,
That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah.
But nothing scares me anymore after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically that's where we were. We were purely Facebook.
Yeah.
Instagram came a lot later. YouTube wasn't really a thing. There was definitely no TikTok. It was purely, the one platform.
I mean, you have lived this life. I mean, from the it was 2000, early 2000, right, to now to 2025. I think you have mentioned one thing already. The algorithms changed on Facebook. What other changes have happened over the years in terms of social media? Because I remember when Facebook started, it was a community platform. But then, if you have a page, you're creating a community. But now they changed the algorithm that you can only reach 2% of your community. What other changes do you think that possibly affected marketing or our efforts in digital marketing?
There have been quite a few, and I think different platforms have had different changes.
Yeah.
I think the biggest one, at least in recent times, has been the move to video, right?
Yeah.
So we've seen the demand for brands and both personal and corporate brands to create more video content. And I think that's a shift that organizations are still trying to wrap their mind around, trying to figure out, okay, if we're moving to video content, are we doing high production video? Are we doing guerrilla marketing type videos? Are we doing cell phone footage type videos? So I think that's the main thing that I've found organizations are trying to solve and figure out.
Okay. So let's talk about David Langton. So out of all this that you've done, and then you established David Langton.
Yes.
Yeah. What's David Langton?
So the story of David and Langton comes from two main places. The one being, I was a bit frustrated in corporate because as a creative, you have a burning desire to do a whole lot of stuff. However, I was quite young when I was in corporate, and I was perhaps ignorant to what can and can't be done. There's a lot more hoops you need to jump through. Just because you have a cool idea, it doesn't mean it's going to get signed off.
Yeah.
So there was that frustration. And then the second part of it was trying to come up with a brand that I felt had international appeal, but also sentimental value. So David and Langton is named after my father, David Luwo, and my grandfather, Langton Sanga, both of them who were entrepreneurs. My grandfather was one of the prominent entrepreneurs in Bulawayo back in the 80s. And then my father was also an entrepreneur in his own right. He operated in the petroleum industry. And I just wanted something that honored both of those two men and what they represented in my life.
I want to talk about strategic marketing. Right.
Yeah.
So I was presenting at Wits Business School sometime last week for the MBA class. Right. And we were talking about, things that are hidden in marketing that definitely make a brand fail, almost juxtapositioning it to the iceberg theory.
Okay.
Right. Where most of the times when you meet a client today, the client will be like, I want to be on TikTok. I want to be on Facebook. I want to do this because they are seeing other clients maybe flourishing on social media. But if you look at that brand, you realize that they actually haven't established the brand very well in terms of maybe they don't even have an SCR or direction of what these brands mean. So what does strategic marketing means to you?
I think that's a great question. I think inherently strategic marketing speaks to having a clear purpose and direction that you're trying to achieve, right? Setting up the right guardrails to direct your efforts as a brand and as an organization. And typically how it starts is firstly, having a deep dive into the product. What are we selling? Does this thing make sense? Is it something that the market wants? And then moving into who are we selling this to, right? Yeah. I've found one of the main mistakes certain organizations make is when you speak to them and say, okay, so who is this for? They'll say everyone. Or who do you want to market to? Everyone. You know? There's far more impact in being intentional about this is who we are for and this is who we're not for. You find the brands that are able to charge the most are the ones that have a clearly articulated target audience, and they're unashamed about speaking to that audience. Apple is never trying to sell you something cheap or affordable, right? They know that their market positioning is premium and we're going to charge premium prices and give you a premium product. Then you go to your offer, right? Or your messaging. What are you offering this audience? And how are you packaging the messaging around that? The last bit is then what we then focus on in terms of the creative and the social media platforms. But I find if you don't get the key fundamentals right, then everything else falls short.
Yeah. So that's operational when you're talking about the social media. That's above.
Yes.
That's what people see.
Yes.
They don't see the strategy that we formulate.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So are you offering this service at David and Langton?
Yes. So David and Langton, again, has gone through quite a few iterations.
Yeah.
When we started, we used to do quite a lot. We were bamba zonke, as they would say, right? We would run your social media, build your website, shoot your videos, run your ads, everything.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is we had no clear positioning. We then moved and morphed into a strategic consultancy. So we're not a marketing agency. We don't call ourselves an agency. We're a consultancy. And what that essentially means is we start right at the beginning. Let's figure out the product. Let's figure out what pricing needs to work with that product. And let's figure out who your ideal customer profile is. Let's figure out your messaging. Let's figure out the tactics. But the actual running of that, we prefer to work with organizations that have internal capacity and rather uplift that internal capacity as opposed to doing it for you. Because then the challenge with the agency model is the company doesn't own the results, right? So once you drop that agency goes with their expertise. We want to create an environment where that expertise stays in-house, or at least you build a trusted network of providers.
I love the approach. Yes. So in one of the episodes, I think a few episodes ago, I spoke to a lady called Kuziwa, and she spoke about team capacitation. I think that's more of what you're talking about as well.
Correct.
Of which I think it makes sense in a way that if you have noticed that many companies would want to do this in-house, and it's rather better to capacitate their team than just come in as an agent and go out.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So I've got a question for you. Let's say there's a digital marketing agency owner that is listening to. Because if we look at where things are going, we probably need to pivot away from social media. You mentioned social media as being, I think over the years, what has happened, what I've seen on Facebook was when you are advertising or you are doing anything on the back end of Meta, there is a little bubble that says you want marketing assistance. Now they want to provide marketing assistance, which is what we are doing as digital marketing agency. Where do you see what is the future of digital marketing agency, basically?
I'm always cautious of predictions, right? Because few of us know what the future holds. I will say this though. I think we're moving to, or what I believe is the most optimal model is walking the journey with the client for a maximum of 18 months. I don't believe in an agency staying in an organization in perpetuity. I think it creates an environment where either the agency is being exploited, so it no longer becomes profitable for the agency, or the agency runs the risk of complacency because they know that they have that company forevermore. So I think the ideal situation is being within an organization anywhere between 3 to 18 months, ideally probably somewhere around that 12-month mark.
Yeah.
And during that phase, you're transferring skills, you're building systems, you're building a structure, but all with the end goal of handing over and allowing that client to be able to do that on their own, because social media needs urgency. Yeah. And the traditional agency model doesn't allow for that urgency. We are used to a system where I will deliver 12 posts and I will send those posts to you on the 15th so that they can be scheduled for the 1st. That's not how social media works. There's things this morning
it happens in real time
that you need to get on top of, and you can't do that in the traditional agency model. So that's how I foresee it going.
I think it also depends on the brand, right? I'm just wanna say that not really all brands will be affected by the real time thing, because I'm looking at other brands that we have, like an MPO, right? They've got almost like a structured way of doing things than it is dependent on what's happening today or tomorrow. You know what I mean? So in terms of what you call, I think you spoke about the 18 months rule for contracts, right? So I just remembered when you were speaking about that. I think about a month or two ago, VW renewed the contract of their agency. So, I don't know. I can't remember what's the name of the agency, but I remember seeing VW renewed the contract of the agency. And there was people who said no, but they also wanted a chance to be working with the VW. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, then my question would be, when was the last time you saw a VW ad you remembered?
No, I don't remember seeing any. What I remember, I remember there was a VW show which was just before COVID. I think they started an event. I think it was called Vivo Nation or something like that. Then it died after COVID. That never happened. And guess what? I went to what you call this new brands? I think it's a Cherry or
yes, Haval. And all those.
They have an event now that's almost similar to Vivo Nation that they did in Rambek. So yeah, I hear you what you're saying.
So look, I don't want to take away from the large incumbents. I think they still play a role. I think, for instance, when you look at the other forms of marketing, when you look at PR, when you look at out of home, those are parts of the marketing mix that require some of these larger agencies with these great systems and structures, right? So it doesn't mean that they're completely obsolete. I think largely when we're speaking to the social side of the agency world, I think that requires a level of urgency and agility that the traditional agency model doesn't have.
Okay. Okay, so I want to ask about traditional and digital. I think you mentioned something about traditional in one of your videos that I saw, and digital. What's your take on traditional and digital at the moment?
So I subscribe to a theory called the messy middle by Google, right?
Okay.
And the whole premise of the messy middle is that, consumers don't move down a neat funnel. It's not like, they see a billboard and then they go onto your website and then they purchase and then you convert them.
Yeah.
Typically, what the theory suggests is that someone will see an ad today while they're driving to work on a billboard. Tomorrow, they'll see a social media post, an organic one. 3 days later, they'll see a Google ad. They're going to interact and engage with you over all these different elements.
Yeah.
And eventually, they'll convert, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at it from that perspective, you realize that everything has a role and a purpose. There's a role for the out of home. There's a role for the PR. There's a role for the digital. There's a role for the influencer campaign. All those things come together to push that person or your ideal customer over the finish line of converting them into a customer. So
you're saying traditional is still relevant?
100%.
So if you had to start, I want to give you a question, right? Out of the blue. If you had to start a cloud company, right? You're providing cloud services, almost like Google or whatever it is, right? Would you use traditional? Would you give us a billboard somewhere that says, be on the cloud or something of that nature?
I think we'd spend a little bit more time figuring out the core of that cloud company. So are you an enterprise level cloud company?
Enterprise. Yeah.
Are we is this free advice for a potential client? Okay.
It's a question that I'll tell you what I saw yesterday. So that's why I'm asking this question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a cloud company. What level of the cloud? Are we doing consumer cloud, enterprise cloud?
Enterprise cloud.
Enterprise cloud. Yeah. What country are we doing it in?
South Africa.
What level of pricing? Are we an affordable version of AWS? Are we a premium offering?
That's an interesting question. Okay, let's assume that we're being competitive in the market.
So we're a cost-effective solution. Yeah. Then I'd prioritize digital. I would be running Google ads because there's a high probability my customers are going to come through some form of search, and I'll probably support that with a form of PR, just to build that credibility, because there is a security concern when it comes to digital solutions, right? So I want to make sure wherever I'm storing my information is safe. How do I build that perception of safety through visibility on top platforms? So let me go to a biz community. Let me try get an interview on ENCA. Let me try and be featured on my broadband, just to build that credibility. Yeah.
So yesterday morning during traffic, I saw a company. I think it's a quite international company. That brand, I've known it for probably over 10 years. I saw them. They had, ladies holding some placards at the traffic lights, and they were talking about be on the cloud. And and I questioned myself a lot. I'm thinking, okay, what are the service offering? What are they offering to be advertising traditionally? Maybe it's visibility or creating awareness, but I wasn't sure if that is effective. I had so many questions about it. I'm still late to look at the pricing. Like you asked me that question, and I'm still trying to think, what does it mean? Is it effective for this company to be having people at the traffic lights fighting for space with the guys dancing with the crates in the morning?
It's interesting, right? Because one school of thought would say, well, at least they've created talkability. Like, it's such a strange pairing of brand and marketing tactic that it forces you to think. The other argument becomes, maybe they've completely missed the mark. Maybe they need to rethink their messaging, because also a big mistake brands make is they lead with the solution and not the success state. So you're saying to a client, be on the cloud, but I'm not worried about the cloud. I'm tired of piles of paper, right? I'm tired of not being able to find a file. I'm tired of too many physical hard drives. And so when you start to think from the perspective of what is my client's success state, then you craft your messaging around what you're promising them. I think that's what works. If you just say be on the cloud, like,
I wasn't sure. Yeah. Then you posted something about the red wall.
Yes.
Yeah. What's your take on that?
I found it quite interesting. So it appears to be for one of these hot sauce brands. I just need to double check if that assertion is correct.
But let's talk about the wow effect. So it's in your suburb where you stay, and then suddenly you guys woke up and then the wall was red.
Lots of controversy. Big talking point. Some people were really angry. I think just from if virality is what they were going for, I think it worked. I think they got people talking.
Okay.
If there's other metrics they're hoping to measure it against, then we'll have to wait and see. But just from a talkability perspective, I think they got it quite right.
They got it quite right. Okay. I always talk about AI because we are in this chaos. I would like to say chaos. Everybody is in a hurry to just bring about their product. Only about 2 nights ago or a night ago, Grok 4 was launched, and they are saying it's one of the best. I did some stuff yesterday. It didn't give me the best results compared to what I've always been using. So I just went back to what I've been using because I didn't get the best results, right? So what is the applicability of AI and strategic management as a service that you're providing to your clients?
I think the main thing for me is I view AI as a tool. And I think the main benefit is reducing the time of execution as well as expanding the scope of information or access to information. So we lean on AI a lot more for research. It doesn't then do a lot of the execution stuff, but just getting a wider pool of information. I think that becomes incredibly invaluable, especially at a strategic level where you're trying to gather those insights as quickly as possible.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay. I understand that you're also a speaker, right? I think it's something that we need to highlight in this episode, that you are a speaker. Can you just give us a brief understanding of what you do as a speaker?
So my main talk is basically around the importance of building brands that are impossible to ignore, right?
Okay.
My argument is essentially that brands are existing in a world where quality has closed the differential gap, right? So I give an example of, if we were to close our eyes now and I put a pair of Nike shoes on your feet or Adidas shoes on your feet, would you be able to tell what brand I put on your feet? And
No.
your eyes are closed. You can't see,
You
like
can't.
under the table.
Yeah.
You can't tell,
You
right?
can't tell.
Why? Because technology has closed the quality gap. Quality is no longer a differentiator. Instead, brand is what makes organizations different.
Okay.
So the reason why organizations need to focus on brand, and not just brand, but brand and visibility, is because you're not dealing with a situation of, I love this company, or I hate this company. You're dealing with, I love this company, or I'm indifferent. And if people are indifferent about your brand, that's the worst place your brand can be, because the opposite of love isn't hate. It's just, I don't care.
Yeah.
If I don't care, I'm not going to do anything. If I hate you, at least I feel something. At least I'm aware you exist. At least when I see you, I'm going to take notice. I feel something.
Yeah.
But if I'm indifferent, then you just don't exist. And so many brands are in this space of not existing. They're swimming in this sea of indifference. And that's why they're not seeing results.
Wow. Okay. How do people get hold of you if they want you on a speaking gig or something of that nature?
A couple of ways. The easiest is to either visit my personal website, so tendailuwo.com. I'm available on LinkedIn. I'm active on TikTok. I'm eventually going to roll out onto the other social media platforms, but either my website or LinkedIn is the easiest.
I think before we started the episode, you said you're also becoming an author.
Yes.
Or it's in the works.
It's in the works.
Anything that we want to hear, maybe you can drop one or two.
So it's an extension of the talk. It's just taking everything from the talk and putting it into written format. So the book is called Impossible to Ignore. And it's just highlighting the importance of building awareness around your brand and how to do that.
When are you possibly going to launch the book?
I think the burden of being a creative is that we're massive procrastinators.
Yeah.
So occasionally I write like my pen is on fire, and sometimes I sit on that manuscript for weeks on end. So I can't give you a date just yet, but I'm hoping before the year ends.
No, that's good. Tendai, thank you for this talk, man. Any parting words you have?
I think brands should trust themselves a little bit more. I think brands should not be afraid to put themselves out there, push the needle, find an authentic voice, because we're living in an age where putting yourself out there consistently and authentically is one of the greatest rewards that you can derive as a brand or as an organization.
Thank you for those words. I think it also applies to me. I mean, I'm a brand and I've got brands as well. Thank you for watching this episode. Thank you for watching Techmark Pod. Don't forget to like, share, engage. See you in the next episode.